In this video, we're going to review how to graph inequalities. This is part of Unit 5, and our new color for Unit 5 is yellow. All right, so first thing we need to do is look at the inequality and identify the variable. Then we have to decide if the variable is positive or negative. So if I look at my inequality, I have 5 is greater than or equal to negative x. So my variable is negative x, and it's negative. If your variable is negative, you need to take the opposite of both sides and of the inequality symbol. So if I take the opposite of both sides, my positive 5 becomes a negative 5. The opposite of negative x is positive x. And the opposite of greater than or equal to is less than or equal to. So again, I'm taking the opposite of the number, the variable, and the symbol, and I only do that if the variable is negative. If it's positive, I skip that step. Number 3, decide what kind of symbol you have and what type of dot you'll need to use. So we have either less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. We used a filled in dot or a closed dot, and you can think of that as a beach ball. Everything is filled in. If I have a less than or a greater than, we'll use an open dot. And that's kind of like a pool ring. The center of that is open. Okay, so I have negative 5 is less than or equal to x. We already rewrote that. My symbol is less than or equal to. So based on this, less than or equal to, I will need a closed dot. All right, then I have to identify the constant. Place a dot on the constant. So my constant, remember, is just the number, nothing attached. The constant in this problem is negative 5. So I'm going to put my closed dot right on top of negative 5. Okay? Then we need to pick some test points on the number line. You can use 0, 1, or negative 1, or you could use your favorite number. Basically here we're trying to think of numbers that would make this inequality symbol, or this inequality, true. Okay? And you can pick any test point that you want. 0, 1, negative 1, those are good choices. My favorite number is 17. I could pick 17 if I wanted to. It doesn't matter what number you pick. The only number you can't pick is the same number where you put the dot. So I could not test with negative 5. So for this one, I'm going to choose my test point of 0. So still have my dot on negative 5, and then I think about 0. Okay? Substitute that test point into the inequality and decide if the resulting inequality is true or false. So I use 0 as my test point. I have negative 5 is less than or equal to 0. So again, my dot is on negative 5. 0 is right here. Negative 5 is less than or equal to 0 is a true statement. Negative 5 is to the left of 0, so it's true. If the inequality is true, we shade to cover up the test point. So any of these numbers here would make that inequality true. If, for example, I picked something that was false, I would shade in the opposite direction so I wouldn't cover up that test point. If we turn the page, we have a couple of examples. Ooh, got my bell in here today. All right. So again, this is still yellow. All right, example number 2, we're going to draw the graph for each inequality. So for this inequality, I have r is less than 3. So if I look at this right here, I have a less than symbol. My variable is r and it's positive, so I don't need to do anything with that. So I can go ahead and look at my constant. My constant's 3, and my symbol is a less than. So I need an open circle on 3. Okay. And then I can pick any test point that I want. So say I pick a test point of 7 this time. Lucky number 7. I would have 7 is less than 3. 7 is not less than 3. That's false. So I want to shade to not cover up the 7. So 7 is here. I don't want my arrow to cover up 7 because that's false. I want my arrow only to cover up true numbers, numbers that would make this true. So I'm going to shade on this side. I'm going to shade to the left. All right. Example number 3, I have 4 is less than negative m. In this case, I do have a negative variable, so I want to go ahead and take the opposite of everything. So the opposite of positive 4 is negative 4. The opposite of less than is greater than, and the opposite of negative m is positive m. So I'm taking the opposite of the number, the symbol, and the variable. Okay, my constant is -4, and I have a greater than symbol. No line underneath, it's just greater than. So I have an open circle on -4. Pick any number you like. Let's say this time I'm going to pick -1. So if I plug -1 in for m, I leave the -4 on the left, greater than -1. So -1 is here. -4 is not greater than -1. I'd rather owe somebody $1 than owe them $4. Okay, so since this is false, I'm going to shade away from -1. So here's -1. I don't want my arrow to cover that up. I'm going to shade in the other direction. All right, example number 4. I have 0 is greater than or equal to m. M is positive, so I don't need to worry about rewriting anything. I can just go ahead and put my dot. It's a closed dot. I have greater than or equal to, and it goes on 0. Pick any number that you like. I'm going to pick, let's say -4. So I have 0 is greater than or equal to -4. And there's -4 right there on my number line. This is a true statement. So I want to have my graph shade to cover up -4. So I'm going to shade to the same direction as -4. All right, last example, I have -b is less than or equal to -3. My variable is -b, so I need to go ahead and take the opposite of everything. The opposite of -b is +b. The opposite of less than or equal to is greater than or equal to. And the opposite of -3 is +3. All right, this is going to be a closed dot. I have a greater than or equal to, and my constant's 3, so it's a closed dot on 3. And again, I can pick any number that I want. Let's say 7 this time. Well, I already did 7. Let's do 5. So I have 5 is greater than or equal to 3. There's 5 on my number line right there. This is a true statement. So since this is a true statement, I want to shade to cover up same side as 5. So quick summary, if you get something false, you shade away from wherever your test point is. Okay. If you get something true, you shade to cover up where your test point is. All right, now we're going to go in reverse. So I'm going to be given a graph, and then I'm going to go ahead and write the inequality. So if I take a look at this right here, it's always a good idea to start with your variable, and I always use x, but you can pick whatever variable you like. Okay, and then I pick my number. This is number 4. And then I look at my dot. It's shaded, so I know it's going to be an or equal to. And then these numbers that are covered over, I have a 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, and so on. These are all the numbers that are less than or equal to -4. 3 is less than or equal to -4, 1 is less than or equal to -4, so on and so forth. All right, example 6, same idea. I start with my variable. I look for where my constant is. It's at -6. I have an open circle, so it's not going to be an or equal to. And then I look at the numbers that are covered up. I have a -5, a -4, a -3, -2. These are all the numbers that are bigger than -6. I've shaded to the right, so this is going to be a greater than -6. Example number 8. Again, pick my variable, x, look at my constant, 3, open circle, so I don't need to put an or equal to. And then I'm shading all the numbers to the left. So these are all the numbers that are less than 3. So I need a less than symbol. Notice that the less than symbol looks kind of like an L that's been tilted on its side. If I rotate my notebook a little bit, you can now see it looks like an L. So a less than symbol looks sort of like an L. All right, last example. I start with my variable, and then I identify my constant. My constant is a -5. This is a filled in dot, so it's going to be an or equal to. And these are all the numbers that are shaded to the left. So if I go to the left, it's less than. So my final inequality is x is less than or equal to -5.